everyone. So today our topic that we study today is biological molecules. It's also known as animal nutrition syllabus. Let's start. So we have some components of food in our balanced diet. Those components include carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, vitamins, minerals, salts, fiber, and water. So we'll start off with carbohydrates first. So carbohydrate are organic molecules made up of elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So this composition is important, and every candidate of CAIE should know this composition of carbohydrates. The composition of carbohydrates are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and the same composition is of I guess lipids. But in carbohydrates, the composition, the hydrogen and oxygen atoms are in ratio 2:1. For example, if there are two hydrogen atoms, so the oxygen atom will be one oxygen atom will be present. If there are four hydrogen atoms, so two oxygen atoms will be present. So the number of atoms of oxygen is half the number of atoms present of hydrogen. So there are three types of carbohydrates. The first type of carbohydrate is monosaccharides. So monosaccharides are simple sugars. For example, glucose is a monosaccharide. This means monosaccharides are simple sugars. They are not attached to any other sugar or any other molecule. So glucose is an example. Disaccharides are ordinary table sugar like fructose or sucrose. Disaccharides are double sugars. For example, if you combine two glucose and glucose, it will form sucrose. So it's a combination of monosaccharides. Polysaccharides are complex carbohydrate like starch. Starch is a polysaccharide. So in a polysaccharide, thus it is a chain of monosaccharides. Okay, so many monosaccharides join together to form a chain which is known as polysaccharides. So the main function of carbohydrate is to release energy. So during respiration, they act as body's fuel supply, supplying cells with energy. So during respiration, carbohydrates act as a body's fuel. So when a person respires, the carbohydrates burns to release energy and to supply energy to the cells, and that energy is used in active transport or cell elongation, cell repairing, cell duplication, and many things. So the next component in our diet is protein. So the protein is responsible for the growth of repair of tissues. Protein also produces hemoglobin to carry oxygen. So hemoglobin is present in a red blood cell, as we are well aware of that. So oxygen readily combines with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, and then the red blood cells move all across our body and transport our cells and muscles and tissues with oxygen attached to the hemoglobin. So protein has this important role to produce hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, and proteins are also responsible for the growth and repair of tissues, as the energy supply, oxygen is supplied to the cells through hemoglobin, which is made of protein. The protein is also responsible for the metabolic reaction or the cell's metabolism. The protein, the enzymes that reduces the activation energy of the reactions taking place in a cell are made up of proteins. Proteins are a large chain of molecules made up of smaller molecules called the amino acids. So there are approximately 19 or 20 different kinds of amino acids present in our body. So these amino acids combine to form a chain, but the order of the chain can be different every time. So different orders of the chain results in different type of proteins. But proteins are collectively known as amino acids. Amino acids are made up of oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So the composition of amino acid is the same as of proteins, as proteins are the chain of amino acids. But again, we need to learn the composition here. The composition is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. It is the same as carbohydrate, just another element is added to it, which is nitrogen. So our next component we have is lipids. The composition of lipid is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. This is the same as that of carbohydrate, but the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen is over 16:1. For example, if there are 16 hydrogen atoms, so there would be one oxygen atom. If there are 32 hydrogen atoms, there would be two oxygen atoms. So this is the composition of lipids. Lipids are act as a store of energy in the human body. As if, for example, if they are stored as fats in human body around organs in the body. If a human does not eat for like 2 or 3 days, the body needs energy, and that need of energy is fulfilled by lipids or fats around our organs. Those fats melt and produce energy for our body to carry a respiration. Fats are also good insulator and protect organisms against mechanical damage. So, if our organs are covered in fat, so and there's an, for example, there's a person that punches you in your stomach on where your liver is present, and your liver is covered in fat. So, the impact of the punch would be reduced due to the fat layer around your liver. So, we say that fats protect us against mechanical damage, and fats are also good insulator, which means that they can keep us warm during uh, cold temperatures. Lipids are made from fatty acids and glycerol. There are three atoms of fatty acids present and one atom of glycerol present in lipids. Next component is vitamin. So vitamin first of all, vitamin A. Vitamin A makes light sensitive chemical present in retina. Lack of vitamin A can cause night blindness. So vitamin A is responsible to make a light sensitive chemical present in our retina, which we will study further on in this chapter of the eye. But if you have lack of vitamin A, it can cause blindness or issues in your sight. But and the next vitamin is vitamin D, which is essential to help the bones in absorbing calcium. So vitamin D deficiency can cause a disease called rickets, in which your rickets is a disease in which your bones soften up and change their shape. Vitamin D can be easily regained from by sitting in the sunlight or eating a healthy diet like meat. Vitamin C is required to make fibers of the connective tissue. Lack of vitamin C can cause a disease known as scurvy. Scurvy is a disease present in our gums, in which our gums can no longer hold on to our teeth and start ripping apart, which our gums start bleeding. But vitamin C can also be the vitamin C deficiency can also be recovered easily by using citrus fruits and green vegetables. So the less important components are water and fiber. Fiber helps us to reduce constipation, and the water also helps to reduce constipation and many other uses, but they are not as important in our syllabus. So we'll move on. So first of all, there are tests for food substances. The first test is test for starch. So we can test for starch using iodine solution. If starch is not present, the color of iodine mixture would be yellow. But if starch is present, the color of iodine solution would be dark blue or black. So if we want to test, for example, we'll take a plant leaf. If we want to test a plant leaf for starch, we will first we will decolorize the leaf and kill the bacteria. That all process aside, we will then put uh, we'll then put this iodine in the white tile, and then we will put our leaf, which is which our veget- we'll put our leaf on the white tile with where the iodine solution is present. If the iodine solution remains yellow, so this means that there is no starch present. But if the iodine solution turns its color to blue or black, it means that starch is present. The next test is for reducing sugar. We can test for reducing sugars with the help of Benedict's solution. If the solution remains blue, it means there is no reducing sugar. If the solution turns from blue to green, there are traces of reducing sugar. If the solution turns from blue to yellow or to orange, there is a moderate amount of reducing sugar. If the solution turns from blue to brick red, there is large amount of reducing sugar. As you can see here, the Benedict solution present in the first test tube is blue, so this means there are blue, no traces of reducing sugar. But the second one, the solution is in green color, so there are traces of reducing sugar. The third one is in yellow color, so this means that there are traces of there is low amount of reducing sugar present. The fourth one is an orange color, which means that there are moderate amount of reducing sugar present. And the last one is in red color, which means there is a high amount of reducing sugar present. The next test is for proteins. We can test proteins with the help of Biuret solution. If the color of the solution is blue, no protein is present, but if the color is purple, it indicates the presence of protein. As you can see here, this blue color present in the test tube represents the negative Biuret test, which means that no protein is present. But this purple solution in the test tube represents that there is protein present due to the color of the solution. The Biuret solution turns purple when protein is present. Our next test and last test is for lipids. So we can test for lipids with the help of ethanol. If lipids are present, a white emulsion will form in ethanol. As you can see here, this is ethanol, and we added substance to test for lipids. You can see the white emulsion forming over the ethanol. This dark brown until the dark brown area is ethanol, and above that is a white emulsion, which is formed when fats react with alcohol. As you know, ethanol is a type of alcohol. So when the fats react with alcohol, it produces a white emulsion, which represents that lipids are present. So that's the end. We will meet in the next video, which will be on the topic of plants.